Hi, everybody. It's Pastor Lillard from Emmanuel. Hope you're well. So a number of weeks ago, 6 weeks ago or so, we just had Easter and all the Easter lilies and poinsettias and trumpets and Hosanna, and he's risen and it's great news. And then we follow Jesus reappearing to his disciples to tell them the good news. And so that's the best of times. And we know that life at times is sunny and clear skies, and sometimes there's rain and wind and even hurricanes, God forbid. And so where I'm going with this is that the text for Sunday is from Luke, and it comes around every once in a while where a man who is possessed by demons is recognized and seen by Jesus. And then what happens is there's this interlude between the man who's possessed by demons and Jesus. And the demons don't want to be released from him, of course, because they like to possess him. But Jesus takes control. And Jesus releases the man of being possessed. And they go into a bunch of swine and a bunch of pigs, and then they're disposed of, if you will, in that way. And so, we go from Easter to Hosanna to Easter lilies to a man who's possessed by demons. But I'm not going to shy away from it because it's a sign, but it's also just part of life. And so what I want you to think about is that we all have demons. We all have things that just weigh us down. We have problems with self-esteem. We have problems with worth and value and whether or not we're recognized and seen by people. But also our country certainly has an awful lot of demons, and the world has an awful lot of demons with war and all the things that continue to happen. And so when you think about all that, there's only one solution, I think, and that's Jesus. To cling to Jesus, to run to Jesus, to pray to Jesus, and ask Jesus to come into our world, into our nation, into our lives, and help fix what's wrong. So even though it seems like an extreme story, it is, I think, an ordinary story that we're all possessed by things that weigh us down, that whether it be sin, whether it be disharmony with people. And so think about the demons that you have. Think about the things that Jesus could release you of, and then ask Jesus, if you will, to take the wheel and take them off of our hearts and off of our shoulders. So that's what I want you to think about. It's not bad news because regardless of the problem, the answer is always Jesus. So see you in worship. Be well. God bless.
Hello, this is Pastor Rick, and I want to welcome you to Lectionary Plus for this second Sunday after Pentecost. Thank you, Pastor Lillard, for that word. Now we want to take a look at the two texts for this Sunday so that you can prepare for the worship. And we want to start with Galatians chapter 3, verses 23 to 29, and then that will lead into the second text from Luke chapter 8, 26 to 39. Now, I want to start with Galatians because here, Paul talks in ways, in fact, this is the way he talks is one that's really warm to us Lutherans. We like it a lot because he says, when we were raised spiritually, we were raised with a disciplinarian, a teacher. It's like a nanny who was always controlling us. And then he gets theological. He says, that nanny, that instructor, that disciplinarian, that's the law. So we weren't really following God with our whole hearts. We were just doing the law. And then Christ comes along. He fulfills the law, dies, raises again, and now he calls us to a life of faith. And so the way Paul describes the life of faith is now it's like we've left the house, or we've left the school, we've left the disciplinarian, and now we're free in faith to follow Christ. It's that freedom of the gospel which Luther picked up on, and which we like to emphasize as well. And then the high point of this text is to say, in Christ, in this faith, we are neither Greek nor Jew, neither slave nor free. We're not male or we're not female. We're all one in Christ, free to follow the Spirit in faith in Christ wherever God takes us. So that's a good introduction then to the second text where we see that playing out with Jesus and the disciples. That's Luke chapter 8, the healing of the Gerasene. Now, important facts. Jesus tells his disciples, all right, we're going to get in the boat. We're going to go to the Gentile side of the lake. So this text begins as an exercise in cross-cultural ministry. because every Jewish mama had told their boys not to go to the Gentile side of the lake because those Gentiles, they live crazy, they eat crazy, they're crazy people with customs. Jesus then takes his disciples, they get in the boat, and of course they run into a storm crossing the lake. And the storm is just a storm, it's true, but it's also reflective of kind of the conflicts we go through when we're going into new territory with the gospel. Jesus calms the storm, they end up on the other side, and who do they encounter first? It's a Gerasene who lives crazy as all the disciples are going, oh, that's exactly what Mama told me to avoid, these types of guys. He even lives not in a house, but in the caves, among others who probably had mental problems. That's where we are in this text. It doesn't even say that the disciples left the comfort of the boat. All we know is Jesus got out. He then casts the demons out of this man. He has more than one. The demons then negotiate with Jesus. They say, oh, we don't want to be killed. And so Jesus says, okay. And he sends then the demons into a herd of pigs. They all jump off a cliff into the water and are drowned. Okay. That's meant to be funny for a Jewish audience because they don't like pigs anyways. They think that they're unclean animals. But of course, if you were a Gentile living in that village, you're not happy with Jesus because he just ruined the local economy. Pork just got more expensive at Publix. So what do we learn from this text? Jesus is now reaching out to Gentiles. And the Gerasene is made clean. And the first thing he wants to do is follow Jesus. And Jesus, instead of saying, yes, get in the boat with the other disciples, he says, no, here's your mission. I want you to go home and share with your family the good things that I have done for you. So sometimes our mission is not like the disciples to cross the lake and do cross-cultural ministry. It's just to go home and give a faithful witness to those in our family who love us and who are close to us. So a lot to talk about this Sunday. This wonderful text from Luke 8, the healing of the Gerasene, and of course, Paul theologizing about our being freed now from the law to follow the Spirit wherever the Spirit takes us. Thanks for joining us for this Lectionary Plus. Bye-bye now.